Hello, and welcome to the 20s Girls Podcast. We're a podcast for the girls in their 20s, and we talk about all kinds of things. And today we are talking about work. A little work update that we're giving to you. Meg is kind of in the middle right now, so she shares firsthand how she's processing through a work transition. So we talk about transitions, whether you're in work or you're in something and you're feeling a little bit stuck. And we talk about how we process through work changes in life. And so take it from us, we have had a very rich experience in our 20s. Meg's almost 27, I'm 27, and we have experienced so much in our first 7 years of our 20s. And so we actually feel like are we kind of like decent at this point?
I think so.
I mean, we still fail and flop, but I feel like
which you'll hear that today a little bit, but
we got some nuggets.
We've learned a little bit.
There. We have learned quite a bit. So if you are in the middle or need encouragement for work, listen. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Well, today we're going to be processing through work.
Work. This is a real life conversation. We're bringing you live time into literally us as friends, just kind of like updating each other where we're at in our work life. Because one of the things that we know that a lot of girls struggle with in their 20s is figuring out what they want to do for work and what are they passionate about and how to even just figure out what is the next step and kind of follow the Lord's lead in that. We have had many of a work journey in our 20s. One time, I really do think it'd be interesting for us to go into our full 20s timeline of like, what have we done for work?
I would actually love to write that out. I don't even know if I know off the top of my head.
I think it would be really interesting. And we've just had so many experiences so far, and we definitely have, I'm really proud of us for like taking, I guess, leaps of faith to just try things and be open to opportunities. But oftentimes you then find yourself in the middle again of trying to figure stuff out. And so we're just going to bring you into being in the middle today.
Yeah, because some people do have a very streamlined work journey and process. And if that's you, that's awesome and great and not a bad thing. Like, that's so good. But for us, it has not been the case. And so with that, we just have had many seasons of being like, okay, now what? Like, what am I doing next? Or like, what is going on?
Yeah. I think there's a nugget for everybody though, because even if you're in like corporate or you're a teacher or in medical, there is just this time where things will start to feel a little clunky.
Yeah.
And actually, as I say this, I have some really great wisdom from these super awesome, wise mentors that specifically minister to people in business. And I actually think I should share some of it.
Yeah. I would love to hear about it.
I wasn't planning on sharing this, but
I also can't wait to meet them one day.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we need to get something on the calendar because they are just gems. So let me just pull this up.
Which is just so cool that this is they feel so called to this, to encourage people in the workplace, because that's so much of people's lives in America is work.
Okay. 3 things where this is wisdom from other people, not me. Very wise. So let's just start off with this. 3 things that will always be present when you're in a transition. This is good.
This is good.
First one. What used to bring fulfillment to you brings disappointment to you. We know you've all been there.
Interesting.
And they basically were saying about that, like, sometimes God has to get you to experience emotions that get you out of something. So
definitely felt that.
So sometimes he lets you experience this so that you don't stay where you're at. But oftentimes, like, in that, we'll stay because we're like out of obligation or out of loyalty.
Yeah.
So the first one, when you're in a transition season, what used to bring you fulfillment starts to disappoint you. We've definitely had that.
For sure.
So many times.
Yeah. And I will say some job transitions have taken like big negative emotions, or not even job, but just like different things we're committed to or stuff like that, where it once was so fulfilling and now it's the most clunkiest thing in the entire world. Exactly. And not that you shouldn't, like, there's obviously, you could just give like disclaimers or things for everything, because there's sometimes a time and a place to persevere in a spot, but I feel like in your spirit when it's different.
Totally. Yeah, there is like this clunkiness that starts to happen. Yeah, not immediate jump ship. We kind of need to gather more evidence, but sometimes it's just hard to discern. Like, am I supposed to apply for another job? Am I supposed to leave? Am I supposed to start something new? But yeah, these are some signs. The second thing they said that will always be present when you're in a transition is the relationships that used to work no longer work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The people who got you to where you are today are not the people who will get you to where you need tomorrow. Which obviously, ultimately, like, our convictions as a believer is that it's like relationships over everything, like people first, always. But that doesn't mean that, like, sometimes, relationships start to get clunky, and obviously that doesn't mean that you're not going to like work through conflict or seek peace. But I think it's like past the point of like trying to like get things to work and having proper confrontational conversations. It's like, okay, these relationships are just like, they're just not working anymore. Yeah. One of the things that is present when we're transitioning.
I feel like we've seen that in some transitions we've been a part of, even for other people. Yes. Like for other people where it was like so clunky and so like hard relational dynamics that like could not find like peace or like settledness in it, and then when they left it was like, oh my goodness, this is so much better for you and for everybody else too. Like this just was not supposed to be any longer.
That's good.
But interesting.
The third thing is you've lost a fulfillment with that assignment because you have reached your capacity. So it's basically like the fulfillment of the work is gone, and you've reached like your capacity of like just basically your assignment in a lot of ways is just basically starting to become complete. So not that you're always going to feel fulfilled in your work.
Yeah.
But I think it's a combination of like these three things. And I mean, there's more things too that can be like a really good sign that you probably are in a transition period. So,
or should at least be like pausing
and having conversations.
Yeah, to like process and talk about it and be praying into it, because it's a good, like, these are all good like flags. Like, okay, if you're feeling these things, like pause, stop, think, process. Don't just avoid or try to ignore some of the like warning signs, I guess.
Yeah. And one of the things they talked about is like work shouldn't be drudgery. Like, doesn't mean that it isn't hard and that there isn't like work on this side of heaven right now. Like, there is a strain to it. Yeah. But it shouldn't feel like you're being enslaved into something. Unless, I mean, maybe there's a circumstance where it's like, God has clearly led me to this, but also like knowing God and knowing God's heart, like he also desires for us to like even find fulfillment in work and to like see his presence and his beauty in work. I think especially for his daughters, I would like to believe. And so I think just knowing that like the feeling of dread and drudgery day after day, year after year is not necessarily a place we're supposed to be living in.
No, that makes sense. I was trying to find this one thing. Got the new phone update, and I feel like I'm a boomer right now.
Yeah, you'll have that.
I feel like that just like reminds me of like just like finding fulfillment in work. Like why that's even the case is because like we were created to work. Yeah. And I love the verse where it's like, for we are God's handiwork. Like he created us, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. And so it's like there's actual work that God has prepared for us to do. And I think basically what we're trying to get at is we're just trying to figure out how to walk in step to make sure we're actually doing the good works that God wants us to do, and we're not in a different lane or doing something we're not supposed to be doing.
Right.
And so all of this is just trying to like discern through that and process through that of like, God, I want to be inside your will. And that isn't like finding a needle in a haystack, which I can sometimes struggle with that, but just doing like the right things to process through that. So
yeah, that's good.
I don't know.
I feel like even just all of that kind of setting the tone for our conversation as we kind of just try to like pry through what we're processing through right now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, welcome to our real chat.
Welcome.
Meg, how you doing, man?
Good. Which, if you asked me about work the last like 5 months, I probably would have said bad. Which...
There goes my chapstick.
Not the chapstick.
That thing literally wants to
It just runs away.
I don't know how that happened.
I will say everything that you just read definitely resonates, but I feel like it is resonating in my work situation in a unique way, but it makes a ton of sense. And so I need to try to discern through how much to share, I guess, and how I say all of this. But I feel like work has felt very clunky for like 5 months. And essentially in my role, this project I'm on, I was like the only person working in the role for a while. And it's like a big project and definitely needed support, needed help. And a part of my job was like finding the right people to come into this project to then begin like operating this business. And so that like process was so difficult and clunky of like waiting for the right people to come and fill those roles. There's like some trial and error there, which was hard. And I felt so unsettled being in that position of feeling like I was the only one. And it felt like very weighty and overwhelming and like anxiety provoking. And all of those feelings of like clunkiness and unsettledness made me very like frustrated with work and anxious about it. And for like honestly like the past 4 months, I was just constantly like, I need to get out of this job. Like I cannot wait till I'm out of this job. Like I'm so ready to do something else. Like I'm just like ready to be done, but I knew I wasn't released yet from the job. Like I knew I wanted to complete the work that I was assigned to do in this position, which was to like develop this team and like bring these people in and help see this project be completed. But I was like, get me out of here. And now, like, being in a little bit of a different mindset with it, I definitely feel some like convictions from that season because I definitely let a lot of like frustration and like unsettledness lead to a ton of like complaining, I would say, which I feel very convicted about, of just like constantly like complaining about work, or it felt very like dreadful, I would say. Drudgery. And so I was like, oh, like it was constantly just like negative emotions and how I was talking about it, which I think knowing what you just said now, it's like, okay, that makes sense because I was in a role that like wasn't quite right, or like wasn't.
There was a need for some transition.
There was like a need for some transition and I wasn't there yet. And so it did not feel right at all. Mm-hmm. And so now for like the past month and a half, we've like brought on a few team members into this project, and that was the craziest transition ever, where it was all of a sudden this like massive weight was lifted off my shoulders, and the work that I once dreaded so much and was like, I literally told people all the time, like, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next because my job's wrapping up soon, and that was like my mindset, and I was just like trying to figure out the next thing. And now that this transition has actually happened, I feel so much relief, and I actually feel like I'm able to do my job so much better and do what I actually feel like I'm called to do in that job. And it's freed me up a ton of like capacity and mental space to do that. And that has been so like fun and life-giving. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually like making an impact here right now because I like know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. What I was doing before was very clunky and, like you said, like required a transition, but that transition has now happened. And so I feel like a hypocrite a little bit because I feel like I've been telling everybody for like 6 months now that I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next and what my next job is going to be. And I can't wait to be done. And now I'm like, oh, I actually don't know if I'm like supposed to be done yet. And I know that transition will come. Like I still do know that because there's an element of this job that does just have an end date when this project wraps up. So I still know that realistically in the next 3 to 6 months, my job will wrap up. But it is a very different feeling than what I was feeling. And so I can feel like at first I was feeling a little embarrassed by that, like telling people when they'd ask me about work and they knew that I was like wanting to start a new thing or they've heard about my ideas for what I'm going to do next. And I was like, actually, I like am really loving work right now. And that feels crazy to say. And now I'm just kind of like processing through like, what was I feeling in that season and like what areas was that like a lot of it was like very real, and the frustrations and stuff like made a ton of sense and a transition was needed. But I think there were things in my heart that like weren't great that I was like allowing like a foothold, I guess, for that. And so trying to like process through that and be okay with just being honest with people about that.
Yeah.
I feel like this week especially, there's been like a lot of people I've talked to about that where I'm like, oh, I need to just like be honest that like my heart wasn't in a great place and it's better now. And I'm now trying to figure out like, what does this mean for me in this like role now? And so.
Dang, that's so good.
But,
that's a real talk, Meg.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm like now back in this. I feel like I've been in like the middle for like a year in this job and I still feel like I'm there. But I think I'm just continuing to like grow. At the beginning of this year, like a big prayer of mine was like, God, I don't want to overstay my time in this role, but I don't want to understay it either. And I knew even in like that frustrating season that I was not released yet from the job. And I don't know quite how to explain that, except that like in my like heart and gut, I knew that if I would have like quit or just left this job unfinished, that would have felt awful and like very disobedient to God. And so it's like this weird tension now of like, okay, I haven't felt released yet, but I know that's coming. And when I do feel that, I don't want to like overstay either. So
yeah,
trying to still navigate like when is that and what does that look like? But
it's hard because you can't necessarily plan.
Yeah, and it's a unique job
too. One of the hard things about it is like oftentimes with like God's timing, you can't necessarily plan for it. Like many are the plans of a person's heart and what we think is best, but it's God's purposes that prevail over our life. That's really good, actually. Where
forgot about that.
You know, I feel like it's like one of those things where it's like it's so easy for us to try to be like, okay, this is what's gonna go down. Like,
yes,
put a little crown on my head for being the queen at doing this.
Oh, literally me.
But 99.9% of the time, I just do think that God's timing is often very different than ours, and it is like a special way of keeping us as God is God and we're human, and His ways are better. And I think it's like kind of an act of love for Him to do that to us and then remind us every time things don't go as planned, that we see God and we see that, oh wow, like actually His timing was best and me controlling this was not what was best. And it's a way of keeping us humble and whatnot. But it's very real though. Like it's very real to want to, especially work is so much of our life. We find so much fulfillment, identity in it. Where I feel like it makes sense where you want to just like have a plan and be diligent in figuring that out. And not that that's bad, because we need vision. Yeah. But sometimes it can get hard when things don't go the way you want it to.
Yeah. And I would say I like a plan. Like I like to know what to expect. And I will say this year especially feels very like a surrender a little bit to me with that. When I think I've said this before on the podcast, where last year, to a degree, I like knew the plan for the year because there was so many big life things where it was like, I know that this is what is going to happen this year, unless something crazy happens and like everything, I don't know, changes for some reason, but I generally knew the plan. And this year I know nothing. And I'm like, I want to just know, like, just give me a date or give me a time. And so that's definitely like a growing area for me. But like you said, it's like I definitely can look back on my life and see God's timing being always better than my own plans or like thoughts. And I think it is because he does see things very differently than we do. Like he's not confined by time. So he sees beginning to end and everything and has so many greater purposes in all of life and the world and how we fit into it. And we are like very small and very big at the same time, where God is like so in the details of our lives, but yet we are in God's like story and like plan, and it isn't, and we can't understand necessarily how we always like fit into that. So,
but no matter how we think we're gonna fit, the way we fit is gonna be so much better.
Yeah,
it's like so much greater and better, and I feel like that's something that, I don't know, we can like make ourselves be so small, and we are just a little blip, but we're also like have this massive role to play in God's like story, where I don't know, he just like has better, his plans are better, and like I feel like when you actually start believing that in your heart, it takes a lot of work, because we just to get there and by no means have I arrived.
No.
But
I definitely can like tell when I'm there and not there. Like I feel way more peace and settledness this last month.
Peace is like the best.
It's the best. It really is. Where I feel that even though my circumstances haven't changed, like work is the exact same as it was 3 months ago, but my like heart is in a way different place. And the transitions has helped a ton too.
Yeah.
And so, but with that, I still know that a transition is coming. So I am brainstorming.
Let's talk about how we brainstorm. I have some thoughts, but do you want to start off by kind of sharing like what your process has looked like?
Well, I think for like me in this season, trying to like hold everything so open-handed too, where maybe it would be different if it was like a different season of life, but I know I like want to be a mom in the next few years, like Lord willing. And so with that, I don't know if I will or if I won't work during that season. And I don't feel like called to jump into like corporate world and start like, climbing the ladder there, because there's a good chance I would just leave in 1 to 3 years or whatever God's timing is in that. And I also just don't feel that's where I'm supposed to be. Like I could do it, but
if that feeling isn't there, it's like, it's probably because you're not supposed to.
And we have had like a very unique work journey where it's allowed a ton of flexibility and opportunity to say yes to like different things and have like a combination of things going on. And so even for the reality of us doing 20s Girls Club with the podcast and events and stuff like that, I love having the flexibility of a flexible-ish job to be able to like pursue those things and pursue other things too. Like there's an organization my husband and I are involved in where that does like a yes to that requires one of us to have a flexible schedule. So all of these things, like my current life circumstances are pointing me to something that needs to be flexible, not full-time, not like corporate space. And so then it just opens the door of like, what is that going to be? Is that going to be another like entrepreneurial route and something I do myself? Or is that going to be working some like part-time pick-me-up jobs or all of that? And so I definitely like started there where it was like, what is my current life season? What do I envision the next few years being? What should I even be brainstorming based off of that? Which has narrowed down what I can do quite a bit pretty quickly, I would say, which is helpful. But then also at the same time throwing on to the table, like, what am I passionate about? What do I love doing? How do I love serving people? And what maybe like needs in the area are not being met that I could like do or like help in some way. And so then brainstorming from there. And so I guess that's probably been like the funnel of how to get to like the ideas I've come up with.
That's good.
But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. I just, like, love the activity of, like, genuinely writing down, like, everything that you're good at and you're passionate about and all the gifts God's given you, where ultimately it's all about just stewarding these skill sets and the gifts he's given us. So, like, writing down, like, your skill set and the things that people call out in you and every little thing about you. It's, like, literally write it down. If it's who you are and what you're good at, goes on a piece of paper. And even just like for us, we now kind of have all these like other random things in our life apart from skill sets. Like he's given us spaces and places and people and connections. So it's like, okay, we have this podcast, put it on the table.
Yeah.
We have, we plan these events for girls in their 20s, put it on the table. I have a gift of connecting with people, put it on the table. Like, literally putting down every little thing that I'm good at and then, like, identifying where my passions lie. And then from there, I think just that activity alone can bring a ton of clarity of, like, a direction in which you're supposed to go. And obviously, too, it's just processing everything out loud. Or maybe you're a journaler where it's, like, really listening to, like, the things that, like, light you up and excite you and bring you kind of like the combination of like this is exciting and this just makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like those two things, when they both exist, you're probably super on track to like where your next step should be. Because God not only works in like vision and like a feeling, but also like in what's logical and good and true. And so I feel like those are like two principles I've really used to help guide me in work.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, taking all those like things into play, the fact that your family's really part of this organization and you need to be flexible, and the fact that you want to be a mom in 1 to 3 years, and all of these desires, like putting that all out there and then being like, okay, how can I steward like my gifts and help this community and serve other people the best way that God has like given me the grace for.
And then with that, taking the ideas and trusting that God's going to make it make sense.
Yes.
Or work it out. And so I
show
think,
you the next step.
Yes. And so I think I've been so encouraged by that in like your work journey, even with like real estate, where it kind of felt random at first, it was like girls like getting thrown into real estate, and all of a sudden everybody is like, you should be a real estate agent. You should be a real estate agent. Weird. And you were like already learning about real estate for just like, you just had the desire to learn about real estate and investment and things like that. And so it was just like crazy chain of events. But now you being in the job for almost a year, it's like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. You throw all Liv's gifts and strengths and talents on the table, and where she wants to be, or like her bigger even dreams for life, like this is like the perfect stepping stone for that, and fit your skills and how you can serve people so well. And it also just like meets like the needs you have in your life as well. And so it's just cool to see that play out, where probably would have 2 years ago, that is not what I would have guessed you to be doing, but it makes so much sense. And like God's definitely used all the little things in your life up until this point to like prepare you for this job and like already grow your skill set for it, even if it's totally different. So
totally. And I think in all honesty, that isn't like, being a realtor is not my like big picture goal in life, although I have a feeling that I'll be doing this for the rest of my life. So I feel like that's something like, even to like let you guys into, where like I have other dreams and aspirations that are like deep longings of my heart, and I'm not necessarily doing that exactly today, but they didn't make any logical sense right now.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, you can't just like arrive somewhere overnight, where I think that's something that, especially in your 20s, you really do need to like loosen the grip of like a perfect dream job, and be way more concerned about being obedient to like where God's opening doors, and just like, being obedient to where he's opening doors, and just like saying yes to things that are going to build a skill set. Because like, for instance, now I'm a realtor and I'm in real estate, and it's like so clearly obvious that this is where I'm supposed to be. But like literally 2 years ago, like a huge part of my work was doing wedding florals and planning events. Like genuinely talk about like something that is just like so different. But like through that business, I learned so much about client relations. I learned so much about event planning and marketing and all of the things where that built a lot of skill set in me that I now use all the time. And that's just like one example of probably 6 endeavors I was down in my 20s. That was a huge part of like molding me into like what I am today. And so I don't know, I think it is, and I guess when we did that business, it had this like clear yes, like there was like genuinely this gut feeling of like this is where we're supposed to go. And so I think it's just trusting that God is in that. Even if your path looks super windy, it's still just having the faith that the Lord is using it and working all things together for your good, and he'll use your job that maybe feels really clunky and insignificant right now, like for your good and for the good of others. And so there is like an element of faith that's required, especially when you're in your 20s and by no means do you feel like you've made it. Yeah. You have to have the faith that like all that matters right now is that I am being faithful and I'm stewarding what I've been given well. And like when I'm supposed to pivot or go to the next thing, like God's going to lead me there. And if I'm supposed to stay here, he's going to give me a gut feeling like you of like, this is not my time to leave. And he has a work for me here and he wants to do something in my heart right now. And so, I don't know. It's just kind of it's a huge part of our life. Work is a huge part of our life.
Yeah. I think you made all of that was so good, but like a good point of having to just release the idea of arrival. Like we're never going to arrive. Never. Not in our 20s, not in our 60s. Like we're not this side of heaven. We're not meant to arrive. And so I think if you're constantly chasing like dream job, feeling of arrival, feeling of like, oh, I'm fully fulfilled and satisfied, like you're always going to be chasing that.
Once I get to this spot, then I'll be happy. Or when I have this amount of money, then I'll be happy. Or when I land this internship, my life, it'll all work. It'll all be perfect.
Yeah. It's just like, and then talk to anybody who has done that and it doesn't ever, it never works. And so I think the quicker you can learn that, the more freeing work is and the more freeing life is. Yeah. Because you're not chasing something that doesn't exist.
But you will find fulfillment in your work if you use your work to honor the Lord.
And serve others.
Yes. Period. It doesn't matter what you do, but if like that is your mindset, you will feel fulfilled. Yeah. And like, yes, maybe money can fill a temporary void, or maybe like human interaction can fill a temporary void, or maybe it's the opposite of human interaction. Maybe it's working from home will fill a temporary void, but those things will cease. Like ask anybody. Like it'll be like, this just isn't enough for me anymore. Yeah. But loving people well will never, I don't know.
Yeah. Turn void. No, that's good. I think that's something that I've learned a lot from you and work is just like the idea that work is service. Like we are every element of work, no matter who you're working for, what your job is like you're serving somebody or some purpose, and viewing it as that is very helpful. Where I think I used to always look at work as something to give me something and to get something out of it, which there's elements of that, but it is way more fulfilling and rewarding when it's like, okay, I'm doing this because I'm like, I want to serve my boss, or I want to serve these people or serve this purpose. And ultimately in our work, we're serving God. And so like that is like the greatest like reward in it all, and we'll be rewarded for that one day. Like even if we don't see like monetary reward or things on this side of heaven, we have a greater reward to come. And so remembering that and then living that out is way more enjoyable.
Totally. And I know we talk about this quite a bit, but if you're listening to this podcast and you live in America and you work, like you have to work. You have to work to live. Like that's no mistake. Like God put us in the place that we are today, where we are, because he has business for us to do, and it's like it is significant. It's not like yeah, it's not just like this, oh, whatever, like I have to work. It's like, this is actually the place where we're going to minister to people. This is the place where we're going to build systems that are going to like help change our community, that are going to help change lives, that are going to bring like genuinely like God's kingdom to earth. And so I feel like, yeah, it's just like important to know that like this is the point. Like
there's purpose.
This is important. Yeah. And I don't know. It's definitely something that I'm by no means perfect with, but I know in my heart at work when I start to get anxious, it's because my eyes are on myself and I'm trying to build my own like kingdom, and I'm trying to I'm trying to heal my anxiety and find my own peace. And yeah, like genuinely there's days that like that's a really real thing, and you'll definitely experience that if your mindset is in that place. Where I literally had a day like last week where I called Jacob and I was like, I'm not okay today. I'm so anxious. I'm so worried about where my next deal is gonna come from. I feel like I have to like keep up and keep the ball rolling, but not like in this like positive like worship filled way. It's like this really like negative and gross. And I was like, I know how bad this is for my heart, yet I want to just resort to this place first and not resort to like, I don't know.
Yeah, because I think it's like a sense of like control.
Yes.
Where it's like, okay, if I'm like anxious and I worry about all these things and I like figure it out, then I have like control over it.
Yeah.
But the like other side of it is more of like a surrender while working hard, and that brings the actual peace.
Yeah. So.
No, that's good. That's very real. We probably have mentioned this before, but if you struggle with work or struggle with knowing what to do, where to go, what the purpose of work is, if you struggle with working hard, the book Garden City by John Mark Comer is incredible. Good book. Can never recommend it enough. And so that I feel like was huge for both of us.
We should do a book club.
Book club. We will. On Patreon.
We are dropping something soon that we're going to do fun, cute little things together.
It's going to be awesome. But yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I guess like,
what are my ideas?
Yeah, like, okay. Can you narrow it down to like 2 or 3
things?
Yeah, that you're thinking about doing next.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like I really honed it in, and then I was like trying to think of what my other ideas were for a second. But what I've kind of honed in on is I love the idea of like being able to work at home still and do something at home, because whether we're serving with this organization and my schedule's like flexible or whatever, like being at home would be ideal. And so I love to bake and love baking cookies, and I was like, there's no clean cookies in the area, or like super clean at least. Like everybody has their niche, I would say, where it's like gluten-free, dairy-free, or something like that. But no one is like gluten-free or refined sugar-free, like organic or just like quality ingredients, I guess, and niching down even further. And that's like what I use to bake anyways already. And so I was like, that would be a perfect at-home job, because I can still be at home. I can control how much I say yes and no to. And there's like cottage food laws, which make it fairly easy to bake from home. My one hang up with that is I've really gone down the rabbit hole of all the like legalities and stuff like that. And it's a big debate in the communities and amongst people between at-home bakers and licensed bakers. And there's some tension there. And so there's some potential bills and laws that are going to be passed that would make baking at home not a great option anymore, or you'd be very restricted in your income for it. So I've been like a little pump the brakes on this idea until some of that settles out. But also I think it was good to pump the brakes because I am still in the job that I'm in and I couldn't actually take steps forward. But I did a deep dive, a lot of research. If I were to like start that endeavor, I feel very prepared to do it, I guess. So that was like my main idea, and I really want to make jam. I don't know why everyone always laughs when I tell them that I want to make jam. They're like,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It's just
valid. And I don't know why. I just have this like vision for like cookies and jam. Not that they even go together, but I also knew I didn't want to do sourdough because sourdough is a beast when it comes to time, how much time it takes. And there's other people that do sourdough way better in the area. So I was like, I don't even want to touch that. So I was like, what are other things? And once I learned how to make this jam at home, I was like, this is good jam. And I don't know anybody else in the area that makes jam without sugar. And I feel like there's just going to be a continual growing need for stuff like that or options like that. But you're capped when it comes to jam, which is still like, I could still do it. And then if it actually was like, oh, this is like taking off my jam business, I could pivot and make it work still. So
I like the jam idea. It's so fun.
And I have such like ideas for like how to make it so cutesy. So I would say that's like my top idea, and it feels very low risk. Like it's very low entry cost to do it, and yeah, it's just like low risk.
How much money do you feel like you could make?
It's like it's decent. Like it's not like crazy, but it's like if you get a good system and get consistent orders and like a good flow, it's decent money, like more than I'm making now.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
But I don't like, that's a whole new realm where I don't really understand the consumer behavior, I guess, in the area when it comes to baked goods or how much people buy or what that looks like. And so it would definitely take some trial and error to figure out what works or how to actually make it make sense. So that's my like one idea. That's probably my favorite idea. My other one is I could also just go work at a bakery. And I'm definitely considering that one as well. There's one opening down the street, like literally 3 blocks away from our house. So I'm like, that could be perfect. Could just go walk to work. And I think I would love it. And I love working with my hands. I think after years of being behind a computer screen, it's so refreshing and life-giving to like work with my hands. And I got to do that for like a month at a coffee shop here, just bake for them to fill in for somebody. And I loved that. Though like that on top of everything else I was doing was not sustainable, but just like it gave me a glimpse into like, okay, I like this type of work. So that is my main idea. I also have coordinated weddings before, and it's an easy thing for me to like continue to just pick up and do. But it's always been word of mouth, and I am not actively trying to like get weddings. I'm just kind of waiting to see how work shakes out, but it's something I always have to fall back on, and I do really enjoy it. Or I could pick up weddings for wedding venues, like offer a service or something there. So I've got that. I'm like meal prepping for one of Liv's coworkers and doing like postpartum meal prep, which I'm really excited about.
So she's a chef.
I'm a chef. I'm a private chef.
She's a private chef.
But it's like very like basic meals. But I'm excited about that too. And so that I'm doing that in April. So that'll be a good like little trial run for me as well. And is another thing I could see myself just like picking up here and there if there's a need. But I feel like I had some other ideas, but I can't remember what they were.
Those are great ideas.
That's kind of what I've landed with. There was a lot floating around. Oh, my other idea was like really trying to push like UGC content, like do it for brands and stuff. But I've taken a little bit of a social media hiatus and been processing through a lot with social media. And I think social media is still good, and I will probably get back on the horse a little bit. But I don't think that's where I want my sole energy and focus and career to be. If things ever come from it, fine, great. But that's not where I'm going to try to make my like week to week income. So that was a good one to process through. So yeah, that's honestly kind of where we've landed. And then I've always said I would like love to be a like personal assistant or executive assistant, but that would take the right person and scenario to pop up. And I don't even know if that would be great for this season of life either. So right now I'm going to be a baker. That's where we landed. In summary.
She's a baker.
A jam maker and a baker.
A jam maker and a baker. Put that on the freaking Instagram bio. Whatever your name is. Jam maker and a baker.
That's good.
Wait, that's actually... We just found something. Stay tuned, everybody. We got a jam maker and a baker on our hands. Jam maker and a baker.
Have Tanner make a little like jingle or something.
I'm obsessed.
Wait, that's good. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at, but we're just gonna wait and see. And I don't know what life will bring this year, so TBD. But it's fun. I think it's been good for me to just like dream and brainstorm with the Lord too, and like be comfortable with that. So
yeah, that's good. It's scary to do that.
It is.
And hard.
Yeah. Yep.
Trying to like become the most truest version of yourself that like God's created is actually like a very scary, vulnerable place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. But, no, it is. It definitely is. Where it's like, I don't know. I think it's cool that you're just like really, putting all the things on the table and being like, who am I? And what do I want to do?
Yeah.
This little life I've been given.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For now, it's this. It's crazy. Like, we just have free will. Like, we can just choose anything. But
totally.
That doesn't scare me as much anymore. I feel like it's easier to go through, like, that funnel process we talked about at the beginning and not get as overwhelmed by that reality. And
you guys all need to, like, drop what you're doing if it feels clunky at some point and just try something crazy to, like, kind of, just rip I don't know.
Yeah.
Then it's not so scary doing
you just things. Do it. I am grateful
the more scary
for
things you do, the better.
Yeah, I am grateful for our journey in that, where we've just done a lot of random things and took a few leaps of faith where it feels less risky to start something and
we've built such a skill set through that, where I'm like, I know in the long run, like, our route is going to be like one that will just bring so much life because we like took risks and tried things and all the things, and so like we learned so much from what we did, to be honest. If you want to learn a lot, just like start a clothing store in college and freaking send it.
Yeah, it's true. Just be a little
and hop on a construction project without any construction background.
Yeah, that one will really do it.
That'll age you in a way, mature you, like.
Oh yeah, you're like thrown in with the wolves a little bit.
I freaking love construction.
Yeah, I've grown to love it. It definitely was, I feel like, a longer journey for me to navigate the relational elements of it. But it's been good
Was it good when I left in some ways?
I would say yes.
It kind of probably.
It really forced me to do a lot, where I definitely, like, know that, like, my personality and just life circumstances, like, I grew up with a twin for 18 years who was a lot more bold and outspoken than me, and then you were my best friend, and those are also those realities, so it's very easy for me to, like, have to hide or let myself, like, hide a little bit, or if I'm fearful about something, just let the other person do it, or I don't know. So it has been very stretching for me since you've transitioned out in a good way, and it's forced me to like have hard conversations and take ownership in some different ways, which has been good, where it's like, oh, I can do this. It maybe looks different, but I can do it, exactly. And I don't need to be fearful of it. So
that's good.
Yeah, it's been the year of like hard conversations, which is good.
I feel like that's life, right? I feel like the older you get, the more hard conversations like that need to happen in life.
Which, another good book, Crucial Conversations. I never actually finished it, but I listened to like half of the audiobook and it was phenomenal. So I should hop back on that one. Another book club. I'm like so bad when it comes to books, where look at my stack over there. I have 7 books going and I never finish them, but my like fault is I'm always like, well, the Lord just has me pick it back up when I'm supposed to read it, and I swear it always is that way.
Put it on him.
But
same.
I don't know. So I need to not overwhelm myself with a million different areas of content and just focus a little bit.
Oh, that's funny. That's real.
But do you have any other work thoughts or things?
I don't think so.
We definitely should do when you get to your 1 year as a real estate agent, do like a recap of all that you've learned and just the process and story tell a little bit through it. And then we should do another episode too of just like advice for people entering into the home buying era. So
yeah, let's do it.
Perfect.
Yeah, my 1 year's coming up. I think it's like April 1st.
Yeah, it was like April,
February, March. So in 1 month, we can do that.
1 month. Perfect. Yay.
Well, thanks for sharing, Meg.
Yeah, thanks for letting me process.
I think it's going to help a lot of people. I feel like it's one of the clunkiest areas of life for the girly babs. So we're trying to help with that. But
well, thanks for listening.
You guys have a great day. Like, subscribe, leave us a comment. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.